What's up, NBA fan? What's up, all sports fans? This your boy, JB, host of the Behind the Bench Podcast Network and channel. Giving a shout out to the rest of the crew. Shad, Kelvin, Jermaine, KB Film Room, Big Dog Talk Sports. That's right. For everybody who's tuning in, thank you for supporting Behind the Bench. Become a subscriber. Help make this show the best that it can be. And let's turn that wheel. Let's go back into the future, man. Let's go back. I guess that would have been July 12th of 2010, and a certain individual said, "I'm taking my talents." He said, "Oh, this is very rough. This is very rough. But I'm taking my talents down to South Beach." And these were the words that were spoken. "I'm joining forces." So you know what that means when you say you join forces, and it was with two other individuals who you said to be joining forces with. That means the other two guys that you joining forces with, that means each one of those other two guys were forces in their own right. And for the first time in NBA history, we saw three prime superstar franchise players, and most importantly, in their prime, joining forces for the purpose of creating the least degree of difficulty in winning. That's what we saw for the first time in Miami. That's why they had that pyrotechnic display. And that's why you heard these words. Not one, not two, not three, not four, not five, not six, not seven. Nobody's making it up. Those were direct words spoken. And we all know who said that. The Hurricane. And I kid you not, I remember it like it was yesterday. The super team era of the NBA was born. And you know how? You know this era of superstars joining forces started at that moment? Because we've been seeing this in different variations, in different locales, with different superstars and the same superstars, all in the same lot, over these past 15 years. Three prime superstars joining forces were three players from the same conference, from the same draft class. Join forces. It was almost like it was becoming a tag team, like it was WWE. And that's what this era has felt like in a lot of ways. Now, there's been some great moments, don't get me wrong. There's been some real teams that have broken through this prism, this paradigm, and have won through legitimate means. And I celebrate that. I love that. And I'd be glad when we finally get back to that, because this era will eventually run its course. And for the league to regain footing, they're going to have to step in and put an end to this madness. If not, the league will fold. If Giannis Antetokounmpo, remember, they were trying to push Giannis, the talking heads, they were trying to lead him into quote unquote seek greener pastures outside of Milwaukee. But ironically, representing the green and the blue and the white in Milwaukee for the Milwaukee Bucks, he led that franchise to his first title in 50 years. That was represented by one Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Lou Alcindor. If Giannis would have not had bucked the trend, no pun intended, if he would have rode that wave to join forces, particularly with you know who, the league would have reached the point of no return. And me personally, I would have stopped watching it. Because they was really targeting him. And he set the tone for the decade. Giannis is a luminary. In many ways, he's a hero. He saved the NBA. Because like I said, for him to achieve what he did in a quote-unquote small market, that's what they call it now, small market of Milwaukee. If he would have left to form a super team, the league wouldn't have recovered at that point. So through his willingness to compete, he saved the league from peril. So what I'm getting to is, recently, a crew member of the Hurricane insinuated, first they said that wasn't no super team. Then they went deeper into the matrix to suggest not only did they not have a super team in Miami at that time, but Rich Paul recently said they didn't even have a big three. It said Chris Bosh, basically what he's saying was Chris Bosh wasn't a superstar. That's what he said. And this is why I keep saying, when you participate in this endeavor with that guy, sorry, you maybe hear me, I'm actually cooking breakfast, trying to do a video, cook breakfast at the same time. When you hear someone say that, and this is what I keep alluding to, this era of super team stacking the deck has devalued every single element and facet of NBA basketball. Every single facet. I went over it time and time again, and Rich Paul keeps proving a brother right by what he said. Chris Bosh was a 7-time All-Star and was the prototype, the standard for all what we know as being a stretch forward, power forward in the NBA. He still remains the prototype to this day. And I believe he retired somewhere around 2016-ish when he kind of announced his retirement because, the medical issue. I won't go into that. But for Rich Paul to make that statement, man, he recently did, I guess that was on Pat McAfee's show. And Pat McAfee had this look of like, are you freaking kidding me? Are you kidding me? Chris Bosh was a 7-time All-Star. He was averaging 22 and 10 in Toronto. I believe it was last year he was averaging 24 and 10. He was so good. Plus he's left-handed. He had the elbow jumper. He was cash money. He was actually a good defender. He's a good defender. And he gets you the rebounds. But more importantly, he stretched the floor. And he was competitive. He was leading Toronto to the playoffs annually. And the only reason they took a hit the last year is because Cleveland snatched up two of Chris Bosh's teammates who happened to be the best shooters on the team. Go pull it up. BasketballReference.com. Look at Toronto Raptors roster in 2009 season. And then look at Cleveland Cavaliers roster for 2010. They snatched Anthony Parker and Jamorio Moon from the Toronto Raptors. And people want to know why Chris Bosh could do anything in Toronto. Well, that's why. That's why. So what I'm saying is, man, Chris Bosh, because of that statement right there. Now remember, Chris Bosh doing the '11 Finals, NBA Finals versus the Dallas Mavericks. Who hit the go-ahead shot in Game 3 to seal the deal and put Miami up in that series 2-1? It was Chris Bosh. Chris Bosh hit that game winner. Not the Hurricane, not Dwayne Wade. It was Mario Chalmers. It was Chris Bosh. And for them to come on there, man, and say that about Chris Bosh, they're trying to rewrite history. Him and his crew try to rewrite history, try to convince people that who he really had on his team and stacking the deck, he really didn't have. Or they was not as good as what they actually were. Chris Bosh was a beast, believe me. And that's why he was selected to the Redeem team in 2008. Even then, in 2008, he was being viewed as a top 10 player of the NBA. CB4, Chris Bosh. He was so good, he outplayed Dwight Howard multiple times. This was prime Dwight Howard. 3-time Defensive Player of the Year, Dwight Howard in Orlando. The same Dwight Howard who was the best center in the game. The same Dwight Howard who led his team to the finals in 2009 and beating the Cleveland Cavaliers in the Eastern Conference Finals to get to that championship round versus the Los Angeles Lakers. Chris Bosh scored multiple 40-point games against the defensive efforts of one Dwight Howard. Which is why the Hurricane, Dwayne Wade, was looking to complete the triumvirate by having Chris Bosh join in. And this is sad. See, Kobe Bryant gave credit to Paul Gasol. He said, I couldn't do nothing without the Spaniard. That's what he would refer to Paul Gasol as. Ron Artest had some big moments doing that back-to-back championship run in 2010. Trevor Ariza, Derek Fisher, El Presidente. That was his that's what he was called. He's the team captain for the Lakers doing that back-to-back championship run. He gave credit. Michael Jordan, what did he say in his Hall of Fame speech? Well, in all the videos, I just want to say, you didn't just see me. You saw Scottie Pippen. Man, Scottie Pippen was smiling from east to west. Magic Johnson. Man, we had Kareem, Worthy, Scott, Coop. You know what I'm saying? Bird would always say, I believe we had my favorite team. You know, I think the best team I ever had was Dennis Johnson, or we had the best front court in history. You know, Larry Bird, Kevin McHale, Robert Parrish. You know, Dr. J always had a close bond with Bobby Jones. They both, into the NBA from the ABA after the ABA folded in 1976. You had these tremendous bonds, man. Bill Russell and his teammates during the 60s. The 70s Knicks that won 2 titles in 70-73. They had that bond, man. And it's real, too. Bad boy Pistons. They're always going to rep each other, man. But this right here, the Hurricane wants all the credit for when they so-called win. But when he falls short, everybody else got to take the hit. And the person who took the hit the most when that super team Miami didn't win was Chris Bosh. He was lambasted. People was calling for him to be traded. You know what I'm saying? They need to get another power forward up in there who's more physical per se. What they forget is Chris Bosh sacrificed his game to play with that dude. Now, I always thought him and Dwayne Wade, they would make a dynamic duo. See, there's nothing wrong with having 2 superstars. You don't need 3 superstars to win no championship. You can say a superstar and a high-level all-star. You know, kind of like, Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen. You know what I'm saying? How they developed that dynamic over time. And that didn't happen overnight. But they want the Hurricane to have all the credit, man. And it's not fair, and it's not cool. In football, Tom Brady always say, man, hey, my offensive line stepped up today. They did their job up front. You know what I'm saying? Even though he was the leader of the team, even though he plays the most important, considered the most important position in football is quarterback, or the most scrutinized position, I should say. And when you play with this dude, you gonna get devalued. It's not even a question of if, it's a question of when. Kevin Love, his first year playing with the Hurricane, he went from averaging 26 points a game to 16. Let me repeat that. 26 points a game to 16. That's a 10-point per game drop-off for a player who was in the process of entering his prime. Not in his prime. He was just beginning to enter his prime. You gonna take that hit, boss. That's why the Hurricane said, and I think he tweeted something else talking about, hey, gotta get in the fit in. Meaning, I'm gonna exploit your talent to catapult and continue my finals run, but I'm not gonna let you play your full game. Because if he was allowed to play his full game, it would show just how much help that man has really had throughout his career since the summer 2010. See, he want to have all the help, but don't really want to show how much help he really has. It's a Jedi mind trick of the ages, man. It's a Jedi mind trick of the ages. And Chris Bosh is seeing nothing more now than a footnote. When he was part of the Dean team, 7-time All-Star, and if they was able to build a team around him in Toronto, he could have did something up there. But when that super team era started, everything got accelerated. It's a lot of this whole era really, man, has been a great insult in so many ways. And these talking heads try to justify it, and they know it's whack. Deep down, they know it's whack. But they gotta try to justify it because all this was proposed and predetermined to propel one individual to the top of the NBA heat. That's what all this was designed for. Now, what they didn't foresee, because it's always something out there that surprises you. They didn't foresee the Golden State Warriors becoming a long-standing championship level franchise, led by Steph Curry and then Klay Thompson and Draymond Green. They didn't see that coming. And then when KD went to Golden State, they almost lost their mind. See, they've been trying to set it up for this dude to operate with impunity, and the talent that this man has played with, really tell you the truth, since 2009. We're going to say since he ushered in the super team era in summer 2010, this man really should have more championships than any player that's ever played in the NBA. Any other superstar, I should say, that played in the NBA. When they detect the slightest resistance to him getting to a finals, that's when they've been pushing for trades and moves around the clock. It's like clockwork, man. And I'm telling you, man, it's an insult to basketball fans that really want to see real competition out there with superstars, man. And like I said, even if your team get beat and another team proven to be better, you can live with the result because you know where everything stands because the competition is being fulfilled. You can live with the results, man. Even if your team get blown out, you can say, you know what, man? Hey, we gotta up our game, man. We everybody gotta get better. Everybody gotta get better. Simple as that. But I feel bad for Chris Bosh, man, because he was really the first. With this whole thing with the Hurricane, he's really the first person, man, who Dwayne Wade had to alter his game to accommodate the Hurricanes' playing style. He had to shortcut his game. So what I'm saying is, man, when you play with this dude, number one, your game is gonna be devalued. Just it's not even a question. And then you're not gonna get credit for the success, but you sure gonna get the blame for the failure. When every year they the prohibited favorite, go to the finals, win the championship. When he falls short, everybody else gonna take the hit. That's been the common thing. Tell you the truth, it's been the common thing, man, since 2009. I'm telling you, Chris Bosh, look what happened to Anthony Davis. Look what happened to Anthony Davis. He a footnote now. Man. So, another player devalued, man. Another player devalued. So I just want everybody's comments and thoughts, man. Chris Bosh was a hell of a player. I was a fan of Chris Bosh. See these dudes, man, like even if they not on my squad, if you play ball, man, and you showing that you about something, man, you you can't help but to give a player props. And Chris Bosh, man, he hit a go-ahead shot in the finals, but somehow he was just a 2-bit player out there, man. That's crazy, man. That's crazy. But leave your comments and thoughts. Until next time, this is JB for BTB, Behind the Bench.